We'll start off talking about Bryan Gil, as the Bleacher Report have done a report on Bryan Gil, saying that Bryan Gil has directly asked Ange Postecoglou for Tottenham to sell him during the summer transfer window. The Spanish, they call him a Spanish international, has started just 2 of his matches this season, and he turned down a move to Brighton in January, so I bet he's regretting that now.
Definitely. I mean, considering how this season has gone for him personally, I don't know how much game time he has seen since January at all, only apart from a few cameos here and there. It's been terrible.
Brilliant cameo at Stamford Bridge.
Fantastic. One for the ball boy, I think, that one. But I think it's no surprise. I don't think Bryan Gil has shown anywhere near enough for him to kind of even command more game time from what he's shown off the bench, to be honest. So I don't know how he can really be upset too much with the management, but he can definitely be upset at the situation and how his career has been managed since coming to Tottenham, because it's been terrible. Yeah. And I also think Tottenham have a lot to blame for how his career has gone. But in terms of Ange himself, I don't know if I blame Ange too much for not using him more, because when we have seen him, he's been terrible, and that's the reality.
Yeah, and it kind of says a lot as well about where he's at and about what he's showing, because it's not like our forward line is performing well at the moment, and when he comes in, it just seems to get worse. So that's just the reality of it at the moment. Let's talk about potential other exits at Spurs this summer, as Fabrizio Romano has been talking on his podcast, and he says many players are expected to leave Tottenham in this summer transfer window. Giovanni Lo Celso is not happy with the current situation, so there is a concrete chance for him to leave Spurs, and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is also open to leaving, and he is also expected to leave this summer. So I guess we've spoken about these 2 players quite a lot, so not really a surprise, this one.
Yeah, no surprise at all. Lo Celso, I thought, had another good cameo yesterday, and that follows on some impressive recent displays off the bench from him. So it's a shame that he hasn't been getting a lot more game time than Ange has allowed him in recent weeks, because I think he's definitely deserved it. Clearly, I think he's not really in Ange's plans going forward, and it's a shame because he's a good player, but it's also understandable because he's got a lot of injuries. Do we want to rely on him for next season? Would you rather have a player who's going to be more readily available, who we can trust? I think we can all agree we probably do. So I like Lo Celso. If we can sign a Lo Celso kind of player who can stay fit, I think that's probably the aim.
Yeah, and we'll talk about who we can potentially bring in a minute. But in terms of Lo Celso, again, I bring it back to an underperforming midfield at Tottenham for a while now. And he can't even get a game in this underperforming midfield, where I think he deserves a game with the cameos and what he's shown every time he's come off the bench, in my opinion. But if he can't get a game in this kind of way, then I fully expect and understand where he's coming from. But I understand where we're coming from as well. 1 year left on his contract, always seems to be injured. And look, he does play well from time to time, and when he does get the chance. But I guess it's not enough, because availability is sometimes the best quality as well.
So you'd rather keep Højbjerg than Lo Celso?
I would prefer to get rid of both of them, to be fair.
Availability is all that matters. But anyway, no, I agree with you, though. I think I can see both sides. But I just definitely think it's a different case to like Hill, because Hill's just not been good when he's come on. But Lo Celso's actually shown something at least. So from his point of view, I think he genuinely is hard done by not getting more minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at Højbjerg, who hasn't, pulled up that many trees when playing this season, and he gets a start in the North London derby, and the narrative around Højbjerg is that he's got no future here. So why does Højbjerg get allowed that start in the North London derby and Lo Celso can't get the chance for love nor money? It makes no sense to me. Let's talk about potential incomings now, as Football Italia say that Fabio Paratici is working on 2 deals for Tottenham. Riccardo Calafiori of Bologna centre-back, Albert Gudmundsson of Genoa. The 2 deals are expected to cost the club around £50 million. The Football Insider also says that Tottenham are locked in a battle with Juventus and Bayer Leverkusen for the signature of Bologna centre-back Riccardo Calafiori. And I know a bit more about Calafiori than I do about Gudmundsson, but I back these signings. I mean, Gudmundsson probably does come in as maybe the Giovanni Lo Celso replacement, where he can fill in a few different roles and to quite a good quality. Riccardo Calafiori is an interesting one, because he is predominantly a left-sided centre-back, something that we need going into next season. But he is a player who's very good on the ball, good in the air as well, and he can fill in at left-back as well. So if you look at maybe him coming in at left centre-back, maybe it's an option if you can't sign a left back going into next season, you keep Ben Davis around to fill in at left centre back, and then you have Calafiori to be back up to the left back and the left centre back.
I think that is got to be the goal next season in terms of signing players who are versatile, can play multiple different positions. And I think that is really key, actually, to keeping a lot of the players happy. If you look at, as I've said it before, you look at Man City, look at all of their defenders pretty much, apart from like Diaz, pretty much all the defenders they have can play multiple positions. Ake, Akanji, Gvardiol.
Stones now.
Stones. They can all play multiple positions. And what that does is, it means when you're looking at rotation, and you're looking to rotate the team, because these different players can play multiple positions, it gives you so many more options, and it just keeps everyone happy because they know they're going to get the game time, and it doesn't matter where it is, they know they will get the game time, whether it be a centre back or full back or whatever. So that, and Pep said that is the number one most difficult thing when managing a top team, is keeping all the players happy. That is the most difficult thing. And that's kind of the solution he's found. So I think that's what we should be looking to do, finding players who can fit in multiple positions. And that means when we got European football and all these cup competitions, you have players who can fill in multiple different positions. So gives you a lot more options when it comes to rotating. And it gives a lot more ability for players to fill in certain positions rather than these players fit here. So that's all they can play. And then all of a sudden you're kind of hamstringing yourself into having players either playing out of position or like a backups and stuff. Like people like Ake and Akanji, they don't see themselves as backups because they're not, because they start enough games, whether it be at centre back or left back. So I think when we do sign a defender in the summer, it should be one who can fill multiple positions.
Yeah, I've been doing quite a lot of research into this Calafiori, and I've watched a lot of clips of him now, like a lot. And he really does look like a spectacular player, particularly on the ball. The way he charges up the pitch, he's got a lot of skills in his repertoire as well, and he just looks like a real handful to deal with from an attacking perspective, and he looks really strong from a defensive aspect of the game as well. So he's one that I'm very keen on signing. Another player that we're linked with is Alessandro Buongiorno of Torino, and Daniel Longo says that Tottenham are interested in signing him. Any thoughts on Buongiorno from Torino?
Buongiorno, I think it's going to be a similar position to Calafiori. It's just he's not, I don't know if he's as adept on the ball as someone like Calafiori is, but I think Calafiori is probably the one who's going to be the ideal, but I think he seems to be like on the list backup kind of, he seems like a good player. I don't know if he's kind of can also play left back though.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure if he can play left back, but yeah, I guess you need a few different options, don't you, when you're going for your target, seeing as Calafiori does have a lot of suitors for him with the Bayer Leverkusen and Juventus as well. But you do expect that Spurs can get ahead of that competition. I know Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League just won the Bundesliga, and Juventus obviously a massive club in Italy, but the flashing lights of the Premier League sometimes are too hard to turn down. Yes,
but right now, especially how Tottenham are ending the season, that's the bit that's concerning me a bit. Looking at Tottenham right now, 4 losses on the trot, and the way we're losing games. If you're looking at this project and the Leverkusen project, maybe we can offer more money, but there would be team players who'd be like, from a footballing perspective, I want to go to Leverkusen. There will be players, and whether he's one of those, I don't know. Yeah, very true. Next up, Spurs looking for a striker. Omar Mamoush we're going to talk about now, as Bild are reporting that Tottenham have shown an interest in signing Omar Mamoush. Eintracht Frankfurt are only willing to enter talks about selling the forward with a bid worth around 50 million euros. Mido actually sent out a tweet a few days ago or last week saying, I told Spurs to sign Salah when he was at Basel. They didn't listen. Now I'm telling them to sign Omar Mamoush. So we got to listen to Mido. 100%. He's got 100% hit rate so far. He won't let us down. Mamoush definitely seems like an interesting player. Again, another player who seems to be able to play in multiple positions. Very quick, good with the ball at his feet. But again, if we're looking for like a more physical player, I do think he's more physical than Son. He seems to have a similar, I don't know if he's as physical as Richarlison. I don't know if we need someone who's a bit more physical than that. So he does seem to be a player, though, very quick on his feet. I do like the look of him. So I'm open to signing him for sure.
Yeah, 25 years of age, has played across the whole of the front three in his career. 27 games this season, 11 goals, 6 assists in the Bundesliga, and 7 games, 4 goals in the Conference League this season. What do you think about that for a hit rate?
I mean, it's not like incredible, but it's not bad either. I mean, how old is he? 25.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are definitely players with better hit rates out there, but it's whether we can find value in the market. You know, you look at Isaac when Newcastle signed him for 70 million. He was off the back of a season where he barely scored a goal for Sociedad, but everyone could see his potential. Everyone could see what a good player he can be. So sometimes it's not all about, you know, their last season. It's about what you see in them.
Yeah, I completely agree. Transfer market in the last year have raised his value from 8 million to 22 million in the space of a year. So that's fairly significant raise in a space of a year.
Clearly, must be his best season.
Yeah, he was at Wolfsburg before Frankfurt. I'm not sure what he did at Wolfsburg, but I guess this is his breakout year in his career, which at 25 years of age is a few alarm bells, because you think about, I know some players are late bloomers, but then you think, is this just a one-off year, or is this what he's going to be now for the rest of his career, with progressively getting better?
He can go on one of two ways, can't
Exactly. So it's definitely something to watch out for, but I think when you're looking at the targets Spurs need to bring in, I would say we need right winger, left winger, and striker.
Need every position.
Every position.
Yeah.
All right, that is the transfer news that is doing the rounds at the moment. Next up, I want to talk about Alfie Devine and Ashley Phillips. Both were up for Man of the Match awards in a very pivotal game for Plymouth in the last game of the Championship, which kept them in the division. And Plymouth Director of Football, Neil Dewsnips, has confirmed that they have already expressed an interest in bringing both of them back to the club next season on a year-long loan again.
I think, as much as they would like it, I don't know if it's the best thing for them. Like, unless Plymouth are going to have like a bit of a change in how they play and maybe a change in style, because obviously they've been battling relegation this season. Devine and Phillips have come in and obviously helped them stay up and done well. I would like them to be challenging, be at teams, you know, challenging for playoffs or something, a bit of a high quality, see how they fare in those kind of environments. But if it is an environment that they think they can develop in, and maybe still regular championship game time is important, and it is would help. So I'm not completely against it, but I would like to see what other options other clubs are offering before I would say, yeah, definitely send them back to Plymouth. Yeah, I'd agree with that. We'll just have to see what kind of offers do come about this summer. So I guess they come back. I would even say go on the pre-season tour with Spurs as well, and then make your assessment after that. Next up, let's talk about Japhet Tanganga, who's had a sensational season. Half a season with Millwall since going there, I think, in January. He's been one of the standout players keeping Millwall in the division this season. He did get sent off on the last day of the season with Millwall in the Championship. Check out this. I don't know if you saw this, but check out this sending off. Both these players got sent off for a little bit of a scuffle after a challenge, and it's basically a player comes up to Tanganga, slaps him in the face. Tanganga literally does nothing, and they both get sent off. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I haven't seen that. It's ridiculous. It looks like as well similar to that one in Ligue 1 on the weekend as well, where it just seemed absolute nonsense. Maybe it was basically what happened was a scuffle, and he just assumed Tanganga was like
that's what it looked like to me,
as opposed because he was the one who got slapped. Maybe a bit like. If you remember last season when Spurs played Brighton, there was a massive scuffle on the bench between the two coaching staff, and Cellini was out of the way, not getting involved. He's like, "You're off." Because apparently the rule was or something. If there is an incident like that and he couldn't tell who was the main party, you send off the manager. So obviously I doubt it's the same rule for players, but that's what it seems that he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. But you got to give credit to Tanganga. You know, his first successful loan spell out of Spurs. Apparently, what we're going to do is we're going to take up the extension, the trigger to trigger his extension and try and sell him this summer, which is probably the best move. I think he has built up a bit of value at Millwall. Maybe go back down to the Championship and sell him for about 5 million or something like that. The Millwall fans absolutely love him, singing his song. They've made up a song for him, completely singing it non-stop. So you've got to give credit to him.
And there was also that video that circulated at the Millwall end of season party, wasn't it?
Yeah, with the players.
They seem to absolutely love him as well. They had him on their shoulders and singing his song. So he seems to have really, I don't know if he's found a home there, maybe. He seems that he's very happy. It's nice to see him smile, happy, and playing consistently well, which pretty much is the first time in his career he's probably had this sustained period of appearances. So that's really, really good. I'm really happy for him, and hopefully this can continue, because his career, unfortunately, has really stagnated over the last number of years. So I'm really happy for him that he's now found somewhere where he's appreciated and playing regularly.
Do you think that he could one day be like a Premier League player?
I think so.
Like a good Premier League player?
It's hard to say what kind of level, but for sure he can be a Premier League player. I think we've seen him play well in the Premier League, so I think we know he can do it at that level. It's about whether he can do it consistently.
Yeah. And last but not least, we're going to show you the Vuskovic banger from the weekend, getting on the score sheet once again for his club. If we just bring that up on screen, the Vuskovic, this one, absolute worldie of a shot. Boom!
Look at that.
Right into
what
the
can't
bottom
this
corner.
guy do? Go on, Vuskovic.
He looks like a proper talent, this guy, doesn't he?
He's scored a few of them, hasn't he? At 17.
I think that's his third goal, yeah.
Third, and he's got a
couple of assists as well.
Looks like a real talent. What a finish that is as well. That is...
The haters will say it's a deflection.
No deflection on that. No chance. Rifled it into the bottom corner. But at least he has the confidence to try that, and he seems to be very adept with the ball at his feet. At that age, playing regularly, it doesn't matter what league it is, and clearly he's dominating. He seems to be very physically dominant as well of the opposition, and he seems to have the confidence to stride forward and do that as well. So, really exciting prospect for the future. He is.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is all we have for you for a Tottenham update today.